welcome back once again to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host, and we are discussing recognizing covert abuse, and we are nearing the end of the list of myths in Lundy Bancroft's book. Why does he do that? Inside the minds of angry and controlling men, we're on myth number 15. Abuse is as bad for the man who's doing it as it is for the partner. They're both victims. The author's clients get over the pain of the abuse incidents far faster than their partners do. Remember Dale from chapter 1, who insisted that the first 10 years of the marriage had gone by wonderfully, while Maureen recounted 10 years of insults and cruelty? Certainly abusing one's partner ain't a healthy lifestyle, but the negative effects don't hold a candle to the emotional and physical pain, loss of freedom, self-blame, and many other shadows that abuse can cast over the life of its female target. Unlike alcoholics or addicts, abusive men don't ever hit bottom. They can continue abusing for 20 or 30 years, and their careers remain successful. Their health stays normal, their friendships endure. Abusers actually tend to benefit in many ways from their controlling behaviors. An abusive person can usually outperform its target on psychological tests, such as the ones that are routinely required during custody disputes, because he isn't the one who's been traumatized for years by this psychological gaslighting, abuse, or physical assault. Nobody who listens carefully to the tragic accounts of an abused lady and then sees the abusers each week at a counseling group, as Lundy and his colleagues have done, could be fooled into believing that life is equally hard for these men. Myth number 16. He is abusive because he's faced so much societal discrimination and disempowerment as a man of color, so at home he needs to feel more powerful. Lundy addresses this myth in detail in a different chapter in this book that you should be buying now on Amazon. A large number of abusive men are white. Many of them are well educated and economically well off. So discrimination couldn't be a central cause of partner abuse. Second, if a man has experienced oppression himself, it could just as easily make him more sympathetic to a lady's distress, as less so, as is true for childhood abuse, which was way back in myth number 1. There are many men of color among the most visible leaders in the United States, Obama, in the movement against the abuse against women. So while discrimination against people of color is a terribly serious problem today, it should not be accepted as an excuse for abusing males or females. Myth number 17, which is the last. The alcohol is what makes him abusive. If I can just get him to stop the drinking and to stay sober, our relationship will be just fine. Well, so many men hide their abusiveness under the cover of alcoholism or drug addiction that the author has chosen to devote an entire chapter 8 to explore the issue of addiction in detail. The most important point to be aware of is alcohol, liquor, cannot create an abuser, and sobriety cannot cure one. The only way a man, or actually a woman, can overcome abusiveness is by dealing with his or her abusiveness, and you are not enabling your partner to mistreat you. He or she is entirely responsible for his own actions. So don't be experiencing like what I did when I studied enough in college and even in high school to recognize when a person I was supposed to be closely involved with would be saying like abusive type things. I would actually flat out say, "That's abusive. That thing you just said was abusive." and I would be blamed. Well, you caused it. And I think, I didn't cause your mouth to move and say those evil words. No, I didn't. Don't buy that. Lundy is giving you your graduation, saying that you've now completed through the tour of a museum of myths about abusive people. You may find it very difficult to leave these misconceptions behind you. He was attached to his own myths many years ago, but the abusers themselves kept forcing him to look at the realities, even as they stubbornly avoided doing this themselves. If you are involved with a person who's bullying you or cuts you down and then kisses you and tells you they're just kidding, perhaps you feel even more confused than you did before reading this chapter. You could be thinking, but if his problem doesn't spring from all these myths we covered, where does it come from? So the next step is to carefully weave back together the tangled strands that you've just unraveled to form a coherent picture. As we do this, you will gradually find yourself relieved to leave those eye-bending distortions way behind you. An energizing clarity will then take place, and the mystery that abusers work so hard to create for you will disappear. He then gives a few key points to remember. An abusive person's emotional problems do not cause the abusiveness itself, and you cannot change this person by trying to figure out what's bothering it, trying to help it feel better, or improving the dynamics of your relationship. Feelings do not govern abuse or control behavior. Beliefs, values, and habits are the driving forces. The reasons that an abusive person can give for its behavior are simply excuses. There's no way to overcome a problem with abusiveness by focusing on tangents such as conflict resolution, self-esteem, anger management, or impulse control. Abusiveness is resolved only by dealing with abusiveness and not accepting the retarded excuses you may be given as to why the person slapped you in the face yesterday. Well, it's your fault because you did whatever, and abusers thrive on creating confusion, including confusion about the abuse. So you feel like you were abused last night, and when you say, oh, I'm feeling so abused from last night, you'll be gaslighted into, what? That was nothing. We're in love. Well, forget it. There's nothing wrong with you. Your partner's abuse problem is its own. So don't believe any blaming or excuses that you've created it, because you don't have that ability.
I am the Narcopath, and you will never be.
Well, look at you, my pretty. What are you? Are you a rat? Are you a cat? Are you a squirrel? What are you, my dear? I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you the life that you deserve. Mwah.
And then I'm going to eat you.
Now, don't I know I've already told you before a few times why exactly I targeted you? Well, I figured I'd take it just a little step further today and let you know that I could tell when I met you that you had those qualities I don't, such as sensitivity, emotions, feelings, empathy, whatever that crap is. All I know is it interferes in getting what you want. Well,
When we first started seeing each other, I couldn't help but observe you seemed to be awfully preoccupied with the way your actions might affect someone else's reality, and that was clue number one to me that you're one of the ones that I can probably snare into my trap. Because you see, I don't have those trappings. You worry about maybe something you did hurt someone's feelings or whatever, and my thoughts were, well, did you get what you wanted out of it? And the answer was yes. It's like, well then, what's the problem? But see, because you don't think that way, told me You are a prime target for my artistic behaviors. I am the Narcopath, and I think I'm going to change my name again. My new name's gonna be Lola Lust, and I'm gonna start that escort service I've always dreamed about.
I've even thought of a name. Lust in the Dust Escort. And I'm Lola Lust. I think I'm gonna be a success. A smashing success.
Before you know it, I'll be in your town, advertising my part for sale. Look out for it.
Lola Lust, Lola Lust. Lola Lust, Lust in the Dust. It's the escort service you can trust. Lola Lust, Lust in the Dust. It's the escort service you can trust.
Hi, I'm Lola Lust. Lust in the Dust Escorts is the one-stop shop for all of your wildest desires. Whether it's male, female, or shemale, we've got what you want. Give us a call. Do it now.
Your escort service. Don't be shy, baby. Don't be nervous.
Call 1-900-555